So solve for the missing sides and angles. Round the angles to the nearest degree and the sides to the nearest tenth, okay? So you could use Pythagorean's theorem to solve for side AC here, right? So that's this, let me, AC right here, right? Okay, so this would be C because it's opposite the right angle, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to do, I'm going to do AC squared plus 16 squared is equal to 29 squared. That would give me AC squared plus 256. And when I square 29, I got 841. Then we subtract the 256 from the 841, right? So AC squared is going to be equal to, what did I get? 585. And then remember, we got to take the square root of both sides, right? Okay. So AC here is going to be equal to 24.2. So that's our first answer, right? Now we want to find out some angles. So let's look at angle A, okay? So we're going to look at this angle here, angle A. So look at the two sides you're already given. Don't use the one you just solved for just in case you did something wrong. So this is my hypotenuse, right? If it's C, it's also our hypotenuse, right? And then this is the side opposite the angle, yes? So we're going to find the measure of angle A, right? By using an inverse. Remember, if we're trying to find an angle, we use inverses, okay? So what ratio uses opposite and hypotenuse? That's sine, right? So we're going to do the sine to the -1 of the opposite, which is 16. Remember, hypotenuse always goes in the denominator, okay? So you put that in the calculator and you get, for the measure of angle A, 33 degrees, right? Now, to find the measure of angle B, you should know that these two angles added together have to equal what? 90, right? So for this one, we can just go 90 minus 33, and that's equal to 57 degrees. Okay? Okay, so the next one, little different, right? Because this time we only have one side and one angle. Well, I'm going to solve for angle C first because this is going to be really easy. The measure of angle C is going to be 90 minus my 58. So that's going to be 32 degrees, right? Okay, now we got to find some sides. We only have one side, okay? So let's talk about the hypotenuse, okay? So this is our hypotenuse, right? Now, how does this side relate to that angle? Remember, I always label the hypotenuse first, okay? So this one's beside the angle, so that means it's got to be our adjacent. So what ratio uses adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine, right? So we're going to say the cosine of the angle, the cosine of the 58 is equal to our adjacent, which is 30, over our AC, which is our hypotenuse. Remember, hypotenuse is always in the denominator. Now, when we have a variable in the denominator, they're always going to switch places, okay? So these two things are going to switch, so I'm going to put my AC over here, and that's going to be equal to 30 divided by the cosine of 58. And you can go ahead and put that right in your calculator. And 30 divided by the cosine of 58 is AC is going to be equal to 56.6. Now, there's two ways I could solve for BC. I could use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Or I could use another ratio, okay? Doesn't matter which one you choose to use, okay? But what I'm going to do, because we just solved for our hypotenuse, right? So now this is our C, yes? So I'm going to do 30 squared plus our BC squared is equal to our hypotenuse squared, which is 56.6, okay? And so when I do that, so remember that's also squared over there, so this is 900 plus BC squared equals, I got 3203.56, 3203.56. Remember, again, we're going to subtract the 900. So that's going to give us that BC squared is equal to 2303.56. And then we're going to take the square root of both sides, don't forget. Okay? So BC it actually was 47.995, so we're going to say 48, okay? And I'm pretty sure that was millimeters, yes. I don't know if I put, no, the other one didn't have a unit on it. On the test, you're not going to put units anyway, okay? All right, so this time is a solve for x and y. So the first thing I notice is that this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? So that means these two legs are congruent, and this is my what? Opposite the right angle is my hypotenuse, right? Okay, so this is a 45, 45, 90. So I have one formula. H equals the leg times the square root of, times the square root of 2, right? So this is going to be my L, and this is going to be my L. They're going to be the same, right? Okay, so we're going to use our H formula to solve for L, okay? So that means we're going to put 2 square root of 8 is equal to L square root of 2. So we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 2. Now, hopefully you remember that these two numbers can go underneath one radical, right? So if they can go under one radical, then what is 8 divided by 2? It's 4. So this can be 2 times the square root of 4. And this cancels out, so that's equal to our L. What's the square root of 4? 2, right. So 2 times 2 is equal to L. So L is equal to 4. Now, what are our L's up here? Our X and our Y, okay? So the next one, a little bit different, but very similar, okay? So again, we're going to label what we have. So this is our hypotenuse, right? This is a 45, 45, 90 triangle again. So the angles are congruent. That means these two sides are congruent. So we can say right now that y is going to be 15 square root of 2, right? So once again, we're going to use our H formula. So that's going to be H equals L square root of 2. Now, remember, this is L and this is L, right? So this time we're going to say that 15 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, right? So what is square root of 2 times square root of 2? 15 times square root of 4, right? So that's going to be 15 times our 2. So H is going to be equal to 30 here, and that is my what? My X, okay? All right, so the next 4, and look, during the test, you guys are going to have to differentiate these. You're going to have to notice that it's a 45, 45, 90, a 30, 60, 90, or just a regular right triangle, okay? So this is 30 here. This is 30 here. Because again, those two angles have to add up to be 90, right? This one's 30, and this one right here is 60, okay? So what are the two formulas for a 30, 60, 90 triangle? We've got the hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg, right? And then we have the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3, okay? So we're always going to label these sides. This is our short side because it's opposite the 30-degree angle. This is my hypotenuse, right? This is my long leg, okay? So let's go ahead. We have the short leg, so all we have to do with this one is substitute in to the two formulas, right? So to find x, which is h, we're just going to go 2 times 43 over 2. What happens to those 2's? They cancel each other out. So this is just going to be 43, okay? The next one is our long leg, right? So when we're trying to find our long leg, we're going to use the short leg times the square root of 3. So this is going to be 43 over 2 times the square root of 3. And that was L, so that is Y. Okay? Done. All right, letter B. This time, what do we have? We're going to label again. This is our hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle. This is going to be our short side because it's opposite the 30-degree angle. And then the 60-degree angle is going to be our long leg, okay? So this time we have the hypotenuse. Anytime we have the hypotenuse or the long leg, we're going to use that formula, okay? So H equals 24 square root of 3, which equals 2 times the short leg. So we're going to divide both sides by 2 here. So that's just going to be what? 12 square root of 3 is going to be equal to my short leg. So this is equal to 12 square root of 3b, right? Because that's our short leg. Now our long leg, remember again, we're going to put that in the formula. Long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So that's A, right? So A is going to be equal to 12 square root of 3 times the square root of 3. So this is going to be equal to 12 times the square root of 9. So 12 times 3. So A is going to be equal to 36 because 12 times 3 is 36. Okay? All right, with letter C, again, we're going to label what we got. So opposite the right angle, this is our hypotenuse. Opposite the 30, this is our short leg. Opposite the 60 is our long leg, okay? So this time we have the short leg, so all we have to do is plug it into the formula, right? So the formula for the hypotenuse is x is equal to 2 times the square root of 4. Well, let me see. 2 times short leg, right? So this is going to be 4 square root of 3. 2 times 4 is 8. So x is going to be equal to 8 square root of 3, okay? Now the long leg, we've solved for it. The long leg is long is equal to the short leg times square root of 3, right? So this is going to be 4 square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Well, we just did that, didn't we, guys? So what's the square root of 3 times square root of 3? Isn't that 3? So this is going to be 4 times 3, which is equal to 12. All right, let's label again. This is our hypotenuse, right? Okay, B is going to be our short leg, and 33 is going to be our long leg. Now remember, if we have the long leg, that's the formula we're going to use. So the formula for the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So that means this is 33 is equal to s square root of 3. This is going to be the one that's going to take a little more work. We're going to divide by the square root of 3 because we're trying to get s by itself, right? So now s is by itself, yes? But we can't have a radical in the denominator. So we're going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 3 because anything over itself is 1. So this is going to be 33 square root of 3. And once again, what does this simplify to be? The square root of 9, right? What's the square root of 9? 3, right? So that's going to be equal to our s, which, by the way, is equal to b. But wait, am I done? You're right, I'm not. This can be reduced more, right? So that's going to be 11 square root of 3. That's going to be equal to my b, right? Which is my short leg. Now, how do I find the hypotenuse? So to find the hypotenuse, it's 2 times the short leg, right? So our hypotenuse is our a. So we're just going to go 2 times 11 square root of 3. What's 2 times 11? A is going to be equal to 22 square root of 3. All right, the next one says solve for the following two parts. What is the value of x given the following expression? The sine of 2x plus 10 equals the cosine of 3x plus 45. What we need to know is that when we combine these two angles, they equal 90, okay? So that means to solve this problem, we're going to go 2x plus 10 plus the 3x plus 45, and that's going to be equal to 90. So combine our like terms here. So 2x plus 3x is 5x, right? And 10 plus 45 is 55. And that's equal to 90, right? So then we're going to subtract 55 from both sides. So that's going to give us 5x equals 35. How many times does 5 go into 35? Yes, 7. So x equals 7. So that's how we solve for x. So part B says what two angle measures would satisfy the previous expression. So that means we're going to plug the x back in. So this would be the sine of 2 times 7. That's 14 plus 10. That would be 24, right? So the sine of 24 equals, and we're going to do the cosine same way. So 3 times 7 is 21 plus 45. 21 plus 45 be the cosine of 66, wouldn't it? There we go. And you can check that, y'all, by doing the sine of 24 and seeing if it is equal to the cosine of 66, okay? The next one says a diver's at the ocean floor and a boat is at the surface. So a diver's at the ocean floor. So we got the diver down here. We got a boat up here, right? The angle of elevation is 58 degrees. So it says this is 58 degrees. We're looking up. That's elevation, right? And then we're going to draw a right angle here. If the horizontal distance from the diver to the boat is 52 meters, so that means this right here is 52 meters, how deep is the diver? So it's asking us to find that, isn't it? Because the surface of the water is up here, right? Okay. Okay, so what ratio do we use here? So we don't have the hypotenuse, right? So isn't this our opposite and isn't this our adjacent? And what ratio uses opposite and adjacent? Yes, tangent. So we're going to say the tangent of angle 58 is equal to x over 52. Now, how do we get rid of something that's in the denominator like that? Don't we multiply both sides by it? So we multiply by 52 here. We multiply by 52 there. That's now gone. Just put that in the calculator just like that. 52 tan 58. And when we do that, let me see what I got. I got to look at my paper, y'all. So I got 80. So x is equal to 83.2 meters. Okay. All right. So this next one says find the missing side. So this is just Pythagorean's theorem, isn't it, guys? So this is C, right? So it doesn't matter whether you make this one A or this one B, but aren't we using the equation A squared plus B squared equals C squared, right? I don't know why this is acting like this. So we're going to say x squared plus 7 squared is equal to 14 squared. So when we do this, this is x squared plus 49 equals 196. We're going to subtract the 49 from both sides. So that's going to give us x squared is equal to 147. So 147 is not divisible by 2. Is 147 divisible by 3? It is. 3 times 49, right? So can either one of those be simplified? Yep, the 49. So this is going to be equal to 7 square root of 3 when we put it in simplest radical form. Now, everybody listen. If you're looking at answer choices for this particular problem, this is the way you want to look at it. Whatever your answer choices are, square both parts, right? To see if it's the number you had here, okay? So this would be 7 squared is 49, right? And when you take the square root and you square it, what happens to those two things? 49 times 3, and guess what that's equal to? Your 147. So once again, listen, you can check your answers. If you're not sure how to simplify this, that's how. Okay, look and see if it's the same number you had there. All right, so number 7 says, from the top of the fire tower, a forest ranger sees his partner on the ground at an angle of depression of 42 degrees. Angle of depression is 42. Now, if that's our angle of depression, what do we know about this angle and this angle down here? Yes, they're congruent. Why? Because they're alternate interior angles, aren't they? Okay, so that's our 42 degrees right there. Then it says if the tower is 45 feet high, so that means this height right here is 45 feet. Okay. How far is the partner from the base of the tower? So it's asking us to find this. Okay. So once again, we're going to label these sides. We don't have the hypotenuse, right? Because that's our hypotenuse, right? So this would be opposite the 42 degree angle. This is adjacent to the 42 degree angle, right? So what ratio use opposite and adjacent? Tangent, right? Tangent of 42 is equal to our opposite, which was 45, and our adjacent, which was x. Now, what do we do when we have a variable in the denominator? You got it. We switch them. So x is equal to 45 divided by the tangent of 42. So when you put this in the calculator, you get that x is equal to 50 feet. It said round to the nearest tenth of a foot, and actually we didn't have a tenth, okay? All right, last one. Find the length of W, X, Y, and Z, okay? So I have two sides in that right triangle. Y'all see it? Or actually, I have an angle in a side, okay? So let's talk about how, if we're looking for W, okay? So this is the opposite side, right, y'all? Wouldn't W be the adjacent side? There you go. Yes. So let's find W first. So this is going to be tangent, right? So this is the tangent of the 32 is equal to our opposite, which is 45, over our W. What do we do here again? Switch places, right? So W is equal to 45 divided by the tangent of 32. So W is going to be equal to 72 feet. Okay? All right, and the rest of them we're going to round to one decimal, okay? So then we want to find x. So to find x, we could use a ratio or we could use Pythagorean's theorem, okay? So I don't care which one you do. So if we're looking for x, we could say 72 squared plus 45 squared is equal to x squared if we do it that way. Honestly, it doesn't matter which way we do it. When we're looking for x, this is going to be 84.9 feet, okay? What? Don't you dare. All right, so then we've got y is our last one down here, and then with z, okay? So over here now, we got that this was 72, right? So how does that relate to it? It's opposite, and y is adjacent. So this is going to be the tangent of 63 is equal to our 72 over our y's. Once again, swap them. Y is equal to... So the power just shut down, y'all. So I'm going to finish this problem. So we said that the tan of 63 was equal to our 72 divided by our y, right? These switch places, so y is equal to 72 divided by the tan of 63, right? So that was 36.7 feet, right? Okay, we got one left, and that is z, right? So z is, again, we could do a squared plus b squared equals c squared because it's the hypotenuse, right? So we could do our 72 squared plus our 36.7 squared, and that's going to be equal to our z squared, okay? So when I did that, threw my glasses because I was upset. So let me see if I can find it. So z is equal to 80.8 feet.